I used to think that comfort was the goal until I started to see myself declining. And what I mean by this is like over the last few years where I was building on a business, which I've actually just recently stopped, I just hated it, right? I hated it. I hated turning up to it. I hated having to put myself to do some work. And so what I ended up doing for the longest time is I would do the bare minimum and then I would sit with myself and say, yeah, that's probably okay. And then I'd move on and do whatever else I wanted, which usually was wasting time on playing video games and all sorts. And just generally speaking, getting nowhere. And this happened for a very long time. And when people would ask me, maybe parents or friends and stuff would ask me how things are going, whether it be the business or just in general, I'd say, yeah, I mean, it's okay. And I think looking back, I realized that being in the middle, in terms of just being comfortable, just okay, is the worst place to be. Because if you look at it both sides, it's like on one side, you've got life is awful, like really, really bad. The other side, life is great. And then in the middle, life is okay. I think what I found for myself is that when I was smack bang in the middle, life is just it's okay. And for reference, I put myself in that situation, right? It wasn't like I just fell into it and I couldn't get out. I just didn't feel any drive to do anything, right? When, like if life was worse, I'd feel more drive to either work harder at the thing I was doing or do something else that was meaningful to me. Same goes for the other side. If life was actually, pretty okay in my eyes, actually, pretty good, then I'd feel more drive to like sort of, keep pursuing that. And like I think I've spoken to people where, they give off the energy that they are just smack bang in the middle, where life isn't great, but it's not awful either. And I found that that was a really big killer for me when just trying to do anything, meaningful, right? And that really sucked. I know for me now, the state where I'm in, and for reference, I just like effectively what I did is that it got really bad, right? The okay went from okay to really bad. And I realized, and I sat there by myself looking at the business that I had spent 2.5 years building, realizing this is just, this sucks. I can't, and I don't want to do this anymore. Like I had seven, I don't know, I think about eight done for you clients where every morning I was logging on at 6 a.m. every morning and I was responding to everyone's messages, sending everyone's messages, doing everyone's follow-ups. And it took me like about 2.5 hours, if not 3 hours every morning, Monday to Friday, just to do it. And I wasn't really getting paid much either. And that sort of stuff for me, eventually it kicked in. Eventually it kicked in, right? It had to. And that for me just then meant, right, I can't do this. And just now I got to the point where I realized I didn't actually like it anymore. And literally a couple of weeks ago, I just fully just closed down that business. I got rid of all my clients and now I'm doing things that more align with me, which is creating content like this. And I've got into developing video games, with AI over the last couple of months. But the point I'm saying is that I was only able to make that big decision, make that realignment after I was slipping out of the comfort zone. Now, you often hear a lot of people say, you need to get out of the comfort zone, put yourself through all of this, horrible stress and pressure to get yourself to where you want to be. And I think obviously everyone's got their own sort of views on that. But I think the main thing is just asking yourself those questions. Asking yourself, well, are you actually doing the thing you want to be doing now? If why not, right? Because honestly speaking, the stuff I'm doing now, I think I'm going to still want to do in the future, right? I'm still going to want to create content. I'm still going to want to develop video games. I'm still going to want to do creative things. And I didn't actually have those creative things back in that sort of, like business, which effectively was just appointment setting all the time. So that's really what I want to just leave with you, because I think I just found that, look, if you're in that okay zone, in the life is fine zone, you need to ask yourself those questions to better realize where life really should be, right? Whether that's actually, what, life is pretty good at around that and I'm just making a big fuss about it, or whether it's actually, look, I'm really not where I want to be. And ask yourself those questions to figure out, well, where do you want to be? What stuff do you want to work on? And the question I go on and on about this channel is, if you had 4 to 5 hours every single day, that you had to work, we had all the money in the world, what would you do? Right? If money weren't a thing and you still had to work, what would you do? And that for me definitely wasn't that business. And it was definitely more aligned with talking about these things that I'm passionate about and, designing creative things. So ask yourself those questions and really consider if actually where you are at the moment is at least on track to where you want to be. I think there's never going to be an end line. I don't think there should be. But I think just if you feel like the stuff you're doing, the direction you're going is the right way, I think there is no greater feeling than that because it gives you so much more energy to keep going.